Hi everybody, we are learning to program in C++. In this introductory lesson on C++, we will use a conditional statement to validate a condition and perform some simple calculations. Now, when you are creating a console or terminal application in C++, you can call some of the C functions to perform operations that will be difficult or problematic in C++. Some of those functions are used to format values for data display. In this exercise, we will call the printf function to control the width to display a value and the number of decimal digits on a floating point number. To create an application in C++, you have many options, many choices. For our exercise, we will use Microsoft Visual Studio, which is free. You can download it free from the Microsoft website. So to start it, if you are working Microsoft Windows, you can click the Start button. You scroll down and you look for Visual Studio. At this time, we are using Visual Studio 2022. In the Visual Studio 2022 dialog box, you can click Create a New Project. In the Create a New Project dialog box, in the Languages combo box, select C++ or all languages. Then in the list of project templates, you click Console App. Then you click Next. In the Configure your new project dialog box, change your project name to anything you like. For our exercise, I will use Payroll Evaluation. And the path, you can set it to anything you want. That is the location of the project. When you are ready, you click Create. If you are working in Microsoft Visual Studio, the studio will write some default lines of code for you. Of course, you can keep them. For our application, we will use a few lines of code. Let me first put them, and then I will comment on that. The first thing we do is to set a title to the application. Since this is a C++ application, we will use the standard cout preprocessor all over the place. So we start by using it to display a title for the application. This is followed by a line, just a line to display on the screen, and then we will prepare to request information from the user. The first piece of information we want is the first name. To get, we will declare a character variable, which is an array of 20 characters. We will name it first name. After that, we will need the last name. In the same way, we declare a character variable as an array of 20 characters. We will name it last name. The last piece of information we want in this category about the employee is the hourly salary. So to do that, we declare a double variable named age salary, and we request that information from the user. Once again, we write just a line to make the screen a little bit good to read. At this time, we want to know how much work the employee performed for a week, and we will request it day after day. So for Monday, we declare a variable named mon for Monday. It's a double variable, and we request its value from the user. We do the same for Tuesday, the same for Wednesday, the same for Thursday, and the same for Friday. We consider that our week is a business week. So for a simple application, the user or the employee doesn't work on weekends, just to keep things simple. So to start, we need the total amount of work the user performed in terms of double decimal values. So we add the time worked for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. In our application, we are planning to calculate overtime, but to start, to make things a little easier, we consider that the regular time is the same as the time worked. So we declare a double variable named reg time, and we assign time worked to it. Again, in the beginning, we consider that there's no overtime. So if there's no overtime, there's no overtime pay. So the regular salary will consist of multiplying the hourly salary by the time worked. Now, if the user worked overtime, we need to calculate it, and we consider that overtime is any time over 40 hours a week. So to proceed, we use an if conditional statement with a greater than operator. So we consider that if the employee worked over 40 hours, the regular time will be 40 hours. The regular pay will be the hourly salary times 40. For the overtime, we will subtract 40 from the time worked. That will give us the overtime. And to calculate the overtime, we will multiply the overtime by the hourly salary for overtime, which is time and a half. That is hourly salary times 1.5. So at this time, we may have a regular pay which includes overtime pay, and to get that we declare a double variable named net pay. We add the regular pay to the overtime pay, and that will give us the net pay. The rest of the application consists of displaying the values to the user. So to see the result, to test the application, if you are working in Microsoft Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, you would click on the main menu, you click debug, and you click start without debugging. In Visual Studio Code, I think it's run or something like that. So at this time, you should provide the information that is requested. You start with the first name, followed by the last name, the hourly salary, and the time worked for each day. On Monday, I put 7, Tuesday, 8, Wednesday, 6.5, Thursday, 8.5, and Friday, 7.5. And I press enter each time. We get the result, and it shows us that the user worked 37.5 hours, which is 37 hours and a half, which is 30 minutes, and there was no overtime, and we get the salary. If you are working Microsoft Visual Studio, to close the DOS window, you can press any key, just press A to close it. Now, to make our application a little interesting, we will use a different way to calculate the overtime. So in the previous section, we used a greater than operator to check the condition. Each conditional operator in C++ and C++ based languages, it has an opposite. So the opposite of greater than is the less than or equal operator, and that's what we'll use this time. To change we will change the calculation a little. So once again, we will first get the information that is necessary, and then after getting the information, we calculate the time worked once again by adding the time for each day: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Now, this time, because we are going to use the opposite of the greater than, so in the beginning, we consider that the user worked overtime. So the regular time this time is set to 40. We keep the double variable of the regular time. For the regular pay, we consider that it is the hourly salary times 40. For the overtime, we will once again subtract 40 from time worked, and that gives us the overtime. The overtime pay, we will multiply the overtime by the salary and half. Now to proceed, to calculate in case the user didn't work overtime, we use an if conditional statement, but the symbol we use this time is less than or equal to. Normally, if you look at this code, it means we reversed the calculations we made in the previous section, and we practically get the same result. It was just to show the opposite of greater than, which is less than or equal to. So after doing that, to execute, on the main menu, if you are working Microsoft Visual Studio, you would click Debug, Start without debugging. And once again, when requested, you provide the information: first name, the last name, the hourly salary, and then the time worked for the week. For Monday, I type 9.5 and I press enter. Tuesday, I type 8 and I press enter. Wednesday, I type 10.5 and I press enter. Thursday, I type 9 and I press enter. And Friday, I type 10.5 again and I press enter. And as you can see, we get different results. This time we know that we found out that the user worked overtime, so the regular time was set to 40, regular pay, and then the overtime, the user worked 7 hours and a half, and we get an appropriate salary. The whole code is available on my website, and you will find the link in the description.